But let's talk about another area where probably all of us can relate, and that's what to do if you're frustrated or disappointed because of unmet expectations. And this is like just kind of a revelation that God gave me. And so I want to go through some reasons we have these issues with unmet expectations. And the first one, or what we need to do about it really, we need to give up the fairy tale notion of a perfect husband. There are no perfect husbands. This is a newsflash. There are no perfect husbands. I know you think that my husband's perfect. You know, the pastor is a husband, he's probably perfect. You know, this is not true. This is not true. And it's so weird because most of us, if we were asked, do you expect your husband to be perfect? All of us would say no. But we really kind of do. Have you ever noticed that? Like, I'm always so shocked when Raul does something less than perfect. I'm like, oh, you know, what is wrong with this? I thought he was a godly man. You know, I'm always kind of like so shocked and outraged when he has any imperfection. I'm like, oh, like, this is ridiculous. I can't even believe this. Like he's supposed to be perfect or something, which is so ludicrous because the Bible actually says in Psalm 53:3, everyone has turned away, all have been corrupt, there is no one who does good, not even one. Okay, it's perfectly clear that there are no perfect husbands out there, and yet for some weird reason, we tend to think our husbands should be pretty much perfect. And we're always like really disappointed when they're not. So let's just take them off that hook. Give up the desire that your man will be perfect. That is an unreasonable expectation. I'm so sorry. Keep in mind that he may be failing to meet your expectations simply because he's too tired or stressed to focus on meeting your needs. And I mean, that could be the case for a lot of guys who are working really long hours or really physically demanding jobs, or maybe mentally, demanding jobs. And if that's the case, maybe you need to cut him a break, realizing, okay, he is exhausted, he's tired, he's pooped, whatever. But also, maybe this is where you can come alongside of him and say, let's work on a plan to de-stress your life, and let's work on a plan for you to work fewer hours or whatever needs to happen here, because it's not good for you, it's not good for our marriage, you're exhausted all the time, right? Does that make sense? And let me just say, one of the big 10 commandments has to do with a Sabbath rest. How are we all doing with that? Oh, this is kind of an ouch, but he may be purposely avoiding meeting your needs because he is resentful toward you. If he's allowed himself to grow bitter or resentful, and you guys have not worked through problems, then it might cause him to be passive aggressive. Raul was talking with a guy that this was totally what was going on in their marriage. And it took a while to kind of figure it out, but he was being totally passive aggressive. He really resented his wife about something, and so he wasn't meeting any of her needs. But it was kind of a passive aggressive thing. He wasn't doing anything, sinful in a way. He just wasn't going to meet any of her needs. But it was because there was this whole thing of resentment going on. So if you suspect that's the case, you might need to gently probe as to, is there anything wrong? And he says, no. Well, let's, really, I want to know, is there anything, you might need to probe to find out what is the source. This next point, I think, is actually my favorite one for some reason, because I just feel like this is a huge problem in most marriages. The problem itself is not huge, but it's pervasive. It spreads all through your marriage and causes all these minor disappointments to pretty soon all these minor disappointments become one big major source of unhappiness. And that is this: he may be disappointing you because he just may not know what you desire. Because men are not mind readers as much as we would like them to be, and as much as your girlfriends are more like mind readers because they kind of get you. He does not get you. We just don't think of telling them of our needs, of our expectations. We don't even discuss our expectations. He has expectations, you have expectations. We don't ever discuss them. Sometimes they're subconscious expectations. Like, I don't often just sit there through the day going, what do I really expect about how often I will see my in-laws? I mean, I don't sometimes think about it like that, but maybe we should, and then talk about it with our spouse so that we each know what our expectations are. Is that not the most brilliant idea ever? I'm just saying. Sit down with your husband, perhaps once a week, and discuss your expectations and his expectations for one area, for a specific area. This could take a whole year. This could be 37 weeks of date nights, that you would take one area each week and you would just sit down and say, so we did this actually on the sex one, it was the first one. I don't know why I put that one first. Anyway. But I thought, well, surely there's nothing that I don't know in this area. I mean, I'm sure that I know what his expectations are and he knows mine. But I thought, well, I should do this exercise because I'm teaching it, so I should probably do this exercise. What a waste of time, And so we went out to Woods Coffee and I said, well, let's talk about sex and what your expectations are and what I'm. And guess what? I learned things that I did not know.